We are currently in the Brook Flashback, and I want to pose one question to you. What are we going to do when we get out of this flashback? Oda always creates a reason to start a flashback, and he always creates an outcome that matters to the current characters. And for this Brook Flashback, the outcome is to give these Straw Hats that are listening to this flashback a new opinion about Gunko. The entire point of this flashback is for Brook to come to the realization that Gunko is still on his side and that she's being controlled. Whether that be through Dami Reversi in the flashback, maybe Imu's Dami reversing her, Dami reversing the king dies. Or Imu is giving Gunko her pact in the flashback. Maybe Imu is corrupting Gunko's mind through her pact, and that's why she ends up killing the king. I think that's what they're going to find out through this flashback. That's the entire outcome. So what are they going to do when it's over? They're going to go to Gunko. Frankie was just over there. Frankie was literally just at fucking Gunko before this flashback started. So they're obviously nearby. You have Frankie, you have Nami, you have Jinbei, you have Usopp, you have Brook. They're all going to be going to Gunko after this flashback is completed. They're all going to come to the realization that Gunko is actually an ally. She is one of Brook's closest friends who is being controlled by Imu, and they're going to want to go save her. That's going to be a new friend. So now getting into what are we going to do about Gunko being in the ice cube? Well, it doesn't seem like there's any way to get through Ragnir's ice. Ragnir's ice is looking pretty fucking unbeatable at this point. I mean, it's looking invincible. So I don't think any of the Straw Hats that are going to be present are going to be able to do anything about it. Maybe Frankie's new thermal powers are able to get through it or able to absorb the ice or some shit. I don't know about that. Maybe Brook is able to phase through the ice cube with his soul powers. I don't know how that's going to get Gunko out of there. If Imu couldn't blow this shit up, I don't think anything's going to be able to destroy it. So I truly think there's only one option. Loki has to be defeated. And we already know that that's kind of needs to be the case because Luffy has to fight Imu at some point. Loki's already pretty fucking tired at this point. He's huffing and puffing. He's been huffing and puffing for the last couple chapters. Sanji and Zoro are getting set up for their fights, their final fights of the arc. We have Sanji and Zoro versus Summers and Killingham. Luffy has been eating for like 6 chapters. This entire time we've been building up to this final fight between Luffy and Imu. So in order for the Straw Hats to get their 1v1s of the arc, in order for Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy to get their 1v1s, Loki needs to go down. And the fact that Loki is already this tired before Sanji and Zoro have even started fighting, because usually Sanji and Zoro, they're winning their fights before Luffy even gets to like the full climax of his full battle. So I think Loki needs to be defeated. And this makes a lot of sense. Imu's been styling on Loki. I mean, Imu just kind of been shitting on Loki. The only time Loki has been able to get a hit is when Imu's like daydreaming. So I think Imu has the power to take out Loki. It's not impossible for Imu to do that. I mean, at this point, Oda's just been stalling the inevitable outcome of this fight because we've been getting just like a clash a chapter. If we get one more chapter of full fighting, I think Imu's winning that fight. And the secondary outcome of this defeat is Ragnir's defeat because Imu has been talking directly to Ragnir. What happens when Ragnir is truly defeated? I don't count this little victory that Loki got over Ragnir to be like a full, defeat, a full knockout. What happens when Ragnir is defeated? What happens to his devil fruit abilities? We know his ice is indestructible, but what happens if he's incapacitated? That's been a thing throughout the story where devil fruit users, like as their stamina decreases, if they get knocked out, like Sugar, their everlasting toy ability in Sugar case, it gets knocked out. So if Imu is able to defeat Loki and Ragnir, what happens to his ice around the world? It could very well be the case that Imu is the one that releases Gunko and possibly even releases the giants on Punk Hazard. I think it would be pretty funny if Imu is the one that releases the giants on Punk Hazard, releases Gunko from the ice. It would be fate yet again working against Imu, but it would be Imu doing it to themselves. It just feels like everything lines up too perfectly. The Straw Hats are going to be going to Gunko. That just seems guaranteed to me. And we need Loki to be defeated in order for Luffy to fight. So if Loki's defeated and the Straw Hats are going to Gunko, Gunko's probably going to be released. So now if Gunko is released, what is going to be the outcome of that? Well, I think there's 2 options. I think either Gunko is going to be in her original form that we saw in Elbaf, which is just the evil Gunko form, or possibly Gunko is still in her good form. Maybe she is back to normal and they're just going to have a conversation. Brook and Gunko are going to re-meet up and it's going to be, a wholesome moment. But I think what's more likely is that we're going to be getting a rematch from earlier in the arc. We already saw Gunko versus this group before, but this time we have the addition of powered up Frankie. Usopp still needs to fucking do something in this arc. So this could be the opportunity to give these other Straw Hats some shine because really they're all just going to be sitting on the sidelines while Sanji, Zoro, and Luffy do everything else. So this is the only other thing that they could be doing for the rest of the arc. If these other guys need to fight, if the other Straw Hats are fighting, these guys could be fighting Gunko or trying to resolve that conflict. That could possibly give Usopp a moment. It could give Brook a moment. It could let Jinbei shine a little bit. We could get some more Frankie fighting. And they already know the game plan. Brook was already able to affect Gunko's mind. So now instead of trying to be able to beat Gunko because she's immortal, they're not going to be able to defeat her. That was the issue the first time around. But now they have the knowledge that, okay, okay, all we need to do is get her to flip in her mind back to her good side. All we need to do is trigger her memories again, and somehow it's able to flip her back to the good side. I do find it a bit weird that Gunko is able to disobey Imu completely. There might be something else going on with Gunko's pact, like she might have a special pact or something like that, because the fact that she was able to fight against Imu's direct will, even when Imu was inside her body, is crazy. We know Gunko has a pact of some sort. She's able to travel through the abyss. It's not clear which, tier she's at, but to me, I think that she's possibly in the highest tier possible with the elders, considering Gunko doesn't seem to be aging at all. And the other God's Knights, they have been aging. Garling's been aging, Summers has been aging. I think that all of those God Knights are in the second tier, but Gunko is even more special than that. And it's insane that she's able to fight back. Harold couldn't do shit. He couldn't do anything in his second level pack. He wasn't able to fight against Imu's influence in his mind at all. He couldn't do anything. The only time he was able to fight back is seemingly when his arm was destroyed that had the pact, but other than that, he was under complete control, and it was only a matter of time until he regenerated and his mind was completely gone again. So it's possible that Gunko has something else going on, that's something a little bit more weird, and maybe Brook is able to influence that using his soul abilities. I don't really know, but I just think that the entire lineup for going to the ice cube after the flashback makes sense. Loki needs to be defeated, so that could possibly free Gunko, giving the Straw Hats something to do for the rest of the arc. But let me know what you guys think about this theory. That's all I got for today's video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed. See ya.